Cochise County, Arizona, August 1992. The San Pedro River Valley sits at 4,000 feet in the southeast corner of the state, between the Dragoon Mountains to the north and the Huachuca Range to the south. In August, the monsoon rains come up from Mexico in the afternoons and cool the desert for an hour and then stop, and the land steams and dries, and the cattle go back to grazing as if nothing happened. The mornings are clear and sharp, and the light comes over the Dragoons at an angle that makes everything look deliberate. It is not glamorous country, it is consequential country. There is a difference. This is where Sam Elliott asks to spend the summer. The film is Tombstone. Principal photography is scheduled to begin in January of 1993. The production is based in Tucson, a major studio undertaking with a cast of names that reads like a roll call of the best working actors of the era. Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp, Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday, Sam Elliott as Virgil Earp, the eldest of the brothers, the one who becomes town marshal because someone has to, and he is the one willing to. Sam Elliott has been cast for 4 months when he makes the call. He does not call the director. He does not call the production company. He calls a man named Bill Sutton, who runs a working cattle operation in the San Pedro Valley, a man he was introduced to through a mutual contact in the Oregon ranching community. He tells Sutton what he wants. He wants to come down in August. He wants to work. Real work. Feeding, doctoring, fence repair, cattle moving, whatever needs doing. He will pay his own way. He does not need accommodations beyond a bunk in the barn if that's what's available. Sutton asks if he's done ranch work before. Elliott says he has. Sutton says, "You start the 8th. The Sutton operation runs about 600 head of Brangus cattle on BLM allotments east of the river, with a hay operation on the bottomland that feeds the herd through the dry months. There are 2 full-time hands, a man named Roderick, who has worked the ranch for 11 years, and a younger hand called Travis, who came the previous spring and is still being evaluated. They do not know what to make of Sam Elliott on the first morning. He arrives at the main barn at 4:30, which is when Roderick told him to arrive, in jeans and a work shirt and boots that are already broken in. He does not have new equipment. He does not have the look of a man performing ranch work. He has the look of a man who is about to do ranch work, which is a different look entirely, and Roderick, who has seen both, notices the difference. The first week is feeding and fence work. Elliott follows Roderick's lead without comment, asks questions when he has them, does not ask questions he doesn't have, and by the 4th day is working at a pace that does not require supervision. He is 48 years old and works 14 hours in August heat without complaint and without performance. This last part is what Roderick notices. Men who are performing hard work always find a way to let you know they are performing it. Elliott does not. Roderick does not know who he is for the first 2 weeks. He knows Elliott from Oregon, knows he has worked land up there, and this is enough information for the work at hand. Travis figures it out on day 9 when he sees a Roadhouse VHS tape at the feed store in Benson and mentions it at dinner. Roderick looks at Elliott. Elliott does not confirm or deny. Roderick considers this for a moment and decides it is not relevant to the fence on the east allotment, which is what they are discussing, and they go back to it. 3 new posts before the monsoon ends. This is the relevant information. Sam Elliott has thought about Virgil Earp for years. Not obsessively. Not in the way an actor sometimes disappears into research as a way of avoiding the harder work of performance. He has thought about him the way a craftsman thinks about a piece of work before he begins. What is it made of? What does it require? What is the specific problem that needs solving? The specific problem with Virgil Earp is this. He is not the famous one. Wyatt Earp is famous. Wyatt Earp is the name people know. The legend, the subject of 100 films and books and television programs. Doc Holliday is famous, the consumptive gambler with the silver tongue and the fast hand, the role that has attracted great actors for 50 years precisely because it rewards performance. Virgil is the brother who did the actual administrative work. He became marshal because someone had to. He organized the deputies. He kept the records. He was the one who said on the morning of October 26, 1881, that they were going to go down to the OK Corral and disarm some cowboys. Said it the way a man says something that is simply true and requires doing. He was shot 6 weeks later by assassins in an alley. The bullets shattered his left arm. The surgeons told him he would never use it again. He did not leave Tombstone. He considered it his town and his responsibility, and he did not leave until the work was finished, his arm in a sling, moving through a town that had tried to kill him and had failed. He is not romantic in the conventional sense. He is something harder and more durable than romantic. He is the man who stays. Sam Elliott understands this character from the inside in a way that does not require explanation. The question is not who Virgil Earp is. The question is how he moves, how his body carries 20 years of law enforcement in hostile territory, how a man who has been doing difficult work in a difficult place for a long time occupies a room when he enters it, not announcing himself, simply being too present to be ignored. You cannot perform that. You have to earn it somewhere. That is what the ranch is for. By September, the cattle are being moved to the fall allotment, and the work shifts to longer days on horseback. Elliott rides out with Roderick at 5 in the morning and comes back at dark. The horse worked and the man worked, both of them having covered whatever ground the day required. He is not a beginner on a horse. He has ridden since the 1970s, owns horses on the Oregon property, knows what he is doing. But there is a difference between a man who rides competently and a man who has spent the last month riding 14 hours a day in Arizona heat, moving cattle across rough country. The difference is in the body, in the way the weight settles in the saddle, in the economy of motion that comes from doing something until it costs you less to do it than it used to. By October, he has it. He knows it the way you know when a physical thing has moved from effort to instinct, not because it becomes easy, but because it stops requiring thought. The horse and the motion and the terrain become one calculation instead of three, and the body finds the line through them without being asked. He knows it also because Roderick, who does not give compliments the way other people give compliments, who has not said anything about Elliott's riding in 2 months of daily observation, says to him one morning while they are saddling up before first light, without preamble or particular occasion, "You ride like you were born doing it." Elliott cinches the saddle. He says, "I've been working on it." Roderick nods and does not pursue the subject. This is the correct response, and Elliott would not have expected anything less from him. Roderick is a man who notices things, says what he notices when it is worth saying, and does not repeat himself. The compliment has been given. The work continues. These are the correct proportions. Principal photography begins in January 1993 at Old Tucson Studios. The first day Sam Elliott is on a horse on set, the director of Tombstone, George P. Cosmatos, watches the dailies that evening and calls his cinematographer into the room. He says, "Did you see the way Elliott sits a horse?" The cinematographer says he saw it. Cosmatos says, "Make sure we use that. Make sure the camera sees that." The scene they are discussing is not a riding scene. It is a scene where Virgil Earp is simply moving through town on horseback, visible in the background of a wider shot, not the focus. But the way he moves through the background changes the background. The way he sits in the saddle changes what the shot is about. Nobody on set knows about the 3 months in the San Pedro Valley. Cosmatos does not know. Kurt Russell does not know. The wranglers who handle the production horses do not know, though the head wrangler, a man who has spent 40 years with horses in film and knows what he is seeing, watches Elliott mount up on the first morning and says nothing to anyone but notes it privately. On the third day, a production assistant who has been on several pictures with Elliott asks him during a break whether he trained specifically for this one. Elliott says, "I did some riding before we started." The production assistant asks where. Elliott says, "Arizona, a friend's place." He does not say more than that. He does not need to. There is a scene in Tombstone where Virgil Earp rides into the frame and dismounts outside the marshal's office. It is not a long scene. It is not a famous scene from the film. It is 40 seconds of a man getting off a horse and going into a building. Film students who study the movie sometimes point to it, not because of what happens in the scene, because of how the man gets off the horse. The particular economy of it, the swing of the leg, the landing, the way he moves toward the door without pausing to arrange himself. It is the dismount of a man who has gotten off horses 10,000 times and for whom the motion has become invisible, which means the camera sees through the motion to the man, which is the only thing the camera is ever actually interested in. 3 months in the San Pedro Valley. Nobody asked him to do it. Nobody knew he had done it. The camera saw it anyway. Tombstone was released in December 1993. It became one of the most beloved Western films of the decade, not because of its historical accuracy, which is imperfect, but because of the quality of the performances, which are not. Sam Elliott's Virgil Earp was noted by critics as the moral center of the film, the brother who did the work without the legend, the man the town actually needed, even if the town did not quite understand this. He was 50 years old. He had been in Los Angeles for 27 years. He had done the work, the small parts and the almost breaks, and the years of showing up, the same way he did the work in the San Pedro Valley, without announcing it, without expecting credit, because the work was what needed doing and he was the person there to do it. Bill Sutton got 2 tickets to the premiere. He did not go. He had cattle to feed and he has never been to Los Angeles and does not intend to change this. He watched the film in Benson on a Saturday afternoon in January 1994, in a theater with 40 other people, none of whom he told about the man who had spent 3 months on his ranch the previous summer. This is not because he was keeping a secret. It is because it did not seem relevant to the movie. The movie was the movie. The work was the work. They are related, but they are not the same thing. When the scene came, the dismount outside the marshal's office, Sutton recognized the motion. Not the actor exactly. He knew the actor. He recognized the motion. The swing of the leg, the landing, the way the man moved toward the door without pausing to arrange himself. The motion of a man who had gotten off a horse 10,000 times, which in August of 1992 had not yet been true, and by October of 1992 had become true enough that the body could not tell the difference. He had seen it built 8 months earlier, in the San Pedro Valley at 5 in the morning, in the particular quality of light that comes over the Dragoon Mountains when the day is just beginning and the work is not yet started, and a man is saddling his horse the same way he will saddle it every morning until the job is done. Sutton watched the screen. He did not say anything to the people around him. He just watched, the way a man watches when he is seeing the result of something he was part of and understands the distance between where it started and where it ended up. If this story reached you, drop your state in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't. More Long Rider stories are coming, because they still make men like him. You just have to know where to look.